Okay, I'm kind of worn down. I'm not really feeling very like doing creative stuff, but the worn down isn't so bad because there's nothing I really have to do, and the not being creative isn't so bad because then I could do the other things that I was trained to do, like this big book study and the school stuff, and this little girl says something about her dad taught her to use her nerves for good, and I thought that was cool. And then like some of the stuff, some of the funny things I see, they're funny. Like this celebrity is being interviewed, and she is on a certain posture on a couch, right? She's like a super celebrity. And then after about 7 minutes, there's this question that it goes to these clips of these people on basically the same posture on the couch. And they're answering this one question. And you're supposed to think they're famous because they're on the same spot in the couch as the famous person getting interviewed, but they're no. That's funny. Yeah, that's funny. And a lot of other little goofy stuff like that is amusing. I could go on with this stuff. Yeah, a lot of it's funny. A lot of it's funny. I'm trying to figure out where I left off with the book. Okay, Jim, the guy that had the drink, was on a business trip. He stopped into a diner. He had a hamburger or something, and then he put some whiskey in his milk, a shot of whiskey and with milk, and then next thing you know, he was off to the races. And then it says, how can such a lack of proportion of the ability to think straight be called anything else? That's the last paragraph. How can such a lack of proportion of the ability to think straight be called anything else? You may think this is an extreme case. To us it is not far-fetched, for this kind of thinking has been characteristic of every single one of us. We have sometimes reflected more than Jim did upon the consequences. But there was always a curious mental phenomenon that parallel with our sound reasoning, there inevitably ran some insanely trivial excuse for taking the first drink. Our sound reasoning failed to hold us in check. The insane idea won out. Next day, we would ask ourselves in all earnestness and sincerity how it could have happened. In some circumstances, we have gone out deliberately to get drunk, feeling ourselves justified by nervousness, anger, worry, depression, jealousy, or the like. But even in this type of beginning, we are obliged to admit that our justification for a spree was insanely insufficient in the light of what always happened. We now see that when we began to drink deliberately instead of casually, there was little serious or effective thought during the period of premeditation of what the terrific consequences might be. Our behavior is as absurd and incomprehensible with respect to the first drink or drug as that of an individual with a passion, say, for jaywalking. He gets a thrill out of skipping in front of fast-moving vehicles. He enjoys himself for a few years in spite of friendly warnings. Up to this point, I lost my page. Up to this point, you would label him a foolish chap having queer ideas of fun. They're talking about the jaywalker. They're giving a preposterous example. Luck then deserts him and he is slightly injured several times in succession. You would expect him, if he were normal, to cut it out. Presently he is hit again, and this time has a fractured skull. Within a week after leaving the hospital, a fast-moving trolley car breaks his arm. He tells you he has decided to stop jaywalking for good, but in a few weeks he breaks both legs. On through the years, the conduct continues, accompanied by his continual promises to be careful or to keep off the streets altogether. Finally, he can no longer work. His wife gets a divorce, and he is held up to ridicule. He tries every known means to get the jaywalking idea out of his head. He shuts himself up in an asylum, hoping to mend his ways. But the day he comes out, he races in front of a fire engine, which breaks his back. Such a man would be crazy, wouldn't he? You may think our illustration is too ridiculous, but is it? We who have been through the ringer have to admit if we substituted alcoholism for jaywalking, the illustration would fit us exactly. However intelligent we may have been in other respects where alcohol has been involved, we have been strangely insane. It's strong language, but isn't it true? I'll stop there. I just know that every day when I woke up and I said, I was just gonna stop. That I wasn't, today I'm not gonna do the coke, or today I'm not gonna drink, or today I'm not gonna do anything. It lasted for about 15 minutes. And I went to like a lot of different rehabs, and the minute I came out, the first day I was out, I started back up again. And yeah, like that, yeah, I mean, I don't know what more to say about that. Is that there was an insane dimension to what I was, and we're on the second step. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves can restore us to sanity. That I didn't do anything for myself. I didn't. There's nothing that there was no executive function that I needed to really have, other than how I was gonna score or get my next fix. So the decision making skills hadn't developed, and they weren't even necessary because I wasn't doing anything. So. In the 11 years that I have been clean, that got developed. That it's called executive function. Your ability to make decisions on the spot. It's what I'm doing now. It's called executive function because I'm thinking of things to say and they're not premeditated, and that's what is called executive decision making or executive function. So. Some people are really good at that. I notice, younger people who have their lives together and are successful do that well. I'm very impressed with a lot of them. So that's enough.